Bobby Lashley is in the giving mood as he hands Kofi Kingston a WWE Championship title match at Money in the Bank. Our thoughts coming soon. In fact, right now on WrstlXtra.
Yo, one and all. In the spirit of today, for us here, it is Windrush Day. So Windrush Day is the day that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Caribbeans came from the Caribbean and moved themselves to the UK, looking for a better life. I don't know what possessed them, but they did. And this is the day 73 years ago that all happened. So in the spirit of that day, you see me wearing colors. I'm wearing colors, folks. I'm wearing colors.
Reggae
yellow.
Boy.
Come on, yellow colors. It is Jamaica. In the spirit of today, no, not Kofi Kingston, but in the spirit of today, instead of saying yo, I'm gonna say wagwan.
Come on.
Yeah. Welcome everyone. This is WrstlXtra, and I am your boy A Dazzle alongside my tag team partner, of course, Mex. The WrestleManiac. You are, of course, watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. And so, of course, you are also listening on AffinityExtra.com.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it's Windrush Day. I am a proud Jamaican. Parents are from Jamaica. Grandparents from Jamaica. There's someone else that we used to think was from Jamaica, but he's not. Kofi Kingston. He's actually from Ghana. But he is the topic of conversation today.
Yes.
So there's the segue for you folks. Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is the number one contender for the WWE Championship officially and will face Bobby Lashley at Money in the Bank. It's big. It's big. The accolade of it, the sentiment of it, the just the whole magnitude of it is big, mainly because, of course, this will be the very first time two black males have competed for the WWE Championship just ever. And now this is going to be at a pay-per-view. And of course, it will be a main event. I don't know whether that'll be the first match, the last match, but it's a main event because it's for a championship at the end of the day. Yeah. So that in itself is major. But we at WrstlXtra, we don't just get happy just at the ground level of things, just at the foundation of stuff, just that we like to delve deep and find out what we really think about this whole thing. And because I'm a generous guy, because I'm thoughtful, because I'm not greedy, I'll let Mex go first.
I mean, and let me just jump in. Like you said, this is the first ever two black men are going to be competing at a pay-per-view for the WWE Championship. We have seen The Rock and Booker T back in the day, but I believe that was for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Correct.
The less coveted big belts in the WWE.
The secondary title, apparently.
Yes, exactly. So this is the big one. Like you said, this is a big occasion, and it's a big occasion because it's the first pay-per-view back in front of fans following, the year and a half that we've had under these conditions. Kofi Kingston has kind of got to this point by hook or by crook.
Yep.
Yes, he pinned the WWE champion Bobby Lashley a couple of weeks ago with the help of McIntyre, with the help of Xavier Woods. And through the constant taunting of MVP, he said, let me step up to the plate. I don't know whether I like this or I didn't like this, but obviously on Raw, he said, I challenge you for the WWE Championship. And Lashley literally went, okay. And there was no long drawn out, okay, you're going to have to wrestle some matches to qualify, or there was nothing that. They literally just announced one of the biggest matches for the next pay-per-view, just like that. And in his giving mood, Bobby Lashley went on to grant Xavier Woods a Hell in a Cell match with him on the night as well. So, it was something. I think Kofi Kingston is someone we've seen them in the last month or so toil with the idea with not necessarily even putting him back into that main event picture, but someone that can go back into that main event picture at any point. He is a baby face. He will be supported heavily
that's true.
in front of the crowd, which I'm sure is one of the main reasons to do it. And he can serve as a really good interim kind of champion. And I think it's good. I'm looking forward to it. Again, we know Roman Reigns is going to steal any real main event spot going on last. So this could either be, the first match on the card, or it could be somewhere in the middle of the card. Either way, I think these guys will produce a really good match. I'm looking forward to it.
For sure. We've seen it many times, even just on SmackDown, actually, on Friday. But we've seen it many times before when it's a big guy versus a smaller guy who is, especially high flyers, especially those that are capable of that type of thing. We usually get a very good match. We've seen it with, Rollins and Brock. As I said, on SmackDown, we saw it with Rey Mysterio and Roman Reigns. We've seen it many times, many times. So I'm expecting the match to be great. I'm expecting the match to be really good, enjoyable, at the least enjoyable. In terms of this actual whole thing, how it's come about, I love the fact that there is some substance to it. There's a bit of a storyline, as much as it's been the backstage or the WWE.com outtakes kind of thing with MVP and Kofi Kingston going to and fro in the back. At least there's a story to it. So even with Bobby Lashley just saying, all right, cool, or there be no qualifying matches or no whatever, it's fine, it's cool. We were shown that Kofi was, capable in the matches that he had with Drew. You know what I mean? As much as he lost, the matches were great. Even the last one that they had was probably the only good thing that happened on that week of Raw. So it's not like we have to get used to or work ourselves back to Kofi being in the main event picture. It feels a little weird because of what he's been doing over the last year. Just all tag teams. Then the whole, apart from the stuff with Drew, he was still toiling with Randy Orton and Riddle, with that little thing that they had going on, which was actually quite enjoyable. Could have gone further easily. But I'm happy with this, to be honest. I loved what happened on Raw. Xavier Woods getting all brazen, getting all brave.
Fire
and doing this whole, I think we should have it in a... If you've seen MVP's Instagram, he's got a little thing. He's got a clip on there where he's got Xavier Woods saying that, and then you've got that whole little SpongeBob SquarePants thing 3 hours later, and then you just see his face being grinded into the Hell in a Cell.
You got him still.
Love it. I love it. But yeah, man, it's now adding more substance to this whole thing with MVP and Kofi. It didn't necessarily further the story in terms of it going to a next level, or in terms of going to the next stage or next chapter of what Kofi's decision might end up being, or what MVP is trying to do, or whatever. But it just gives us more substance to this whole rivalry, this whole interaction between all of them. So it's going to be interesting to see the next few weeks just what happens. It looks like I'm thinking Xavier's going to be out of the picture for a while, because with Kofi backstage, he said something about, oh, Xavier won't be by my side. So he must be that hurt that he's going to be out for a few weeks until after Money in the Bank. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. First ever match between two black males for the WWE Championship. Let's make it work. Let's hope the build up now gets even more, even thicker. The plot thickens and stuff. And Kofi's already done this whole, put away the pancakes and the unicorns and the hips wiggling and blah blah blah. Now you're gonna see a side of me. We've heard it before.
We
heard it before when he was the WWE champion, when he was up against, I think it was Randy Orton and Samoa Joe. We kind of really saw that kind of aggressive guy.
Yeah.
But it still didn't, there was something still missing from that.
Yeah. We didn't necessarily buy it 100%.
Yeah. So there's still something to be worked with or worked on in that respect, but I'm here for it, to be honest. As much as I feel I know what the outcome of the match is going to be, because I'm hearing the talks are going on with Brock Lesnar.
They are.
I've read that yesterday, further talks with Brock, and I'm just like, let's make it happen.
Give me what I want.
You know what I mean? Will Brock be the reason Kofi loses again? That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
Very good.
At least then as well, what you could have is, if that happens at Money in the Bank, you could have Kofi versus Brock in between up until Brock versus Lashley for the championship at SummerSlam. At least give Kofi a better match. You'll still lose, but give him a better match. Against Brock. But let's go.
Bruv, like Jonathan Rodney, thanks for joining us today, man. He has said history making. It completely is. I've even somewhat, since watching Raw, kind of fantasy booked a couple of scenarios in my head. None of them look particularly good for Kofi, but I will share. I think I thought, Drew McIntyre is going to be in a second chance match or something like that. And if he qualifies for the Money in Bank and maybe goes on to win Money in the Bank, remember, he still can't face Bobby Lashley.
Right.
So Bobby Lashley and MVP can still taunt him. I'm still champion, this, that, and the other. He could cost Bobby Lashley without, same way Bobby Lashley costed him the Money in the Bank or whatever, and basically took his title. He could cost Bobby Lashley, and maybe, let's say, in a scenario, Kofi, if he's still in that picture, could pick this up somewhere down the line. I'm talking about a couple months' time, whatever. And then maybe Drew cashes in, like maybe Kofi wins it immediately, and Drew cashes in immediately to win, turning Drew heel, which will give him layers to his character, because right now I think he's probably plateaued where he is. So that's one way of doing things. I mean, I think there's just so many possibilities with Kofi just being there, Bobby Lashley being champion, Drew could, again, like I say, be a spanner in the works given their history over the last year or so. It's just interesting that we're kind of slowly, at least, rebuilding this main event picture, which I know me and you were talking weeks ago, just thinking, it's Bobby and Drew. Like, who else is here? Like, there's not even any faces in the scenario. Like, it's just like heels after Drew. It's just a bunch of heels, but they've kind of promoted Kofi Kingston into the picture, and it's very interesting. I am very interested to see the match they'll put on. Like I said, and you said as well, although it looks like we know what the conclusion is. I think it's one thing I must say though, and we'll probably touch on this later with Hell in a Cell talk. Bobby Lashley has pulled it out of the bag again. When I thought, for one,
bro, let's talk about that right now, because that was the next thing I was going to talk about, because I'm thinking, we writ it off again. Listen, we need to stop talking, bro, because we're getting things wrong right now. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right at all. Especially with Lashley. We said WrestleMania, he was going to lose. He was set up to lose because Drew in front of a crowd, winning the championship again. That's what we expected the WWE, that's what they wanted. Lo and behold, Bobby walks in and out of WrestleMania as the WWE champion. This time around, we were like, yep, it's a last chance thing for Drew. So we know full well when that happens, they win as the hero. They win. Lo and behold, Lashley's still the champion. And I didn't mind the way it happened either. As much as it was a roll up and not a spear from a distraction. He came out as the champion, and he's still the almighty WWE champion, Bobby Lashley. So it begs the question, and this is how I felt at one point, but you convinced me otherwise, so I'm guessing it's your fault. But, Lashley's gone to SummerSlam as the champion.
Yeah.
I see that happening. As much as you now have just said, you need to stop talking because you're planting things in my head. As much as you just said, there's a possibility of Drew winning Money in the Bank and then boom, cashing it in on the night, you know, or the next night, whatever it is. I do still see Lashley going to SummerSlam as the champion. And I'm now, I hate doing this because it's WWE, but I'm now very optimistic of Brock Lashley at SummerSlam. Unless we get Brock Reigns. Because with both championship pictures, it's like there's no one left.
Yeah.
And Brock just fits either one. Either one. Now, we've had the whole talk of, I think it was last week, if not 2 weeks ago, Roman responding to The Rock and John Cena or making comment about those two. So we're thinking we're getting a lead up to the next WrestleMania.
Yeah.
We've also heard that they're trying to get The Rock at, I think it's Royal Rumble or Survivor Series even. Survivor Series. So he could be, you know, otherwise occupied with that. But either way, with both champions, Universal and WWE champion, there's no, it just feels like there's no one left. We've done everything. And apart from maybe Seth Rollins on SmackDown, there's no one left. But I've also now heard Edge.
Yeah.
It might be Edge versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam.
That's the match penciled in. Yeah.
Now it just leaves the doors wide open for it to be Brock versus Bobby at SummerSlam. What they didn't do with Drew in between or on at SummerSlam or whatever else remains to be seen. Him winning Money in the Bank is a very good shout, very possible. But yeah, it's amazing that we still have Lashley as the WWE champion, and we won't see Lashley versus McIntyre anytime soon. It's not happening, which is good. As great as their matches have been, as great as both of them are, we don't need to see Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre 20 again. You know what I mean? So let's see how that works, and keeping our minds on Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Obviously, we also saw Bianca Belair come out on top and defend her SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley. With both Bobby Lashley and Bianca Belair, it was the first time for both of them in a Hell in a Cell, and both of them were defending their championships as well. So it's major and massive again that they've both come out, you know, at the end of the pay-per-view, still champions. How did you rate Bianca's performance in that match?
Fantastic. I saw Brian from Wrestling Realm, big up Brian, say he called her Big Match Belair. And bro, that's exactly what she is.
It's happening.
How they're booking her in between time is very questionable. It's
just
it's tragedy, bro.
Honestly, I think it's atrocious, bro. I think it's that bad. It's really, really bad.
It's complete tragedy. However, she has performed at the Royal Rumble. She has performed at WrestleMania.
Yep.
She has now performed in her first ever Hell in a Cell.
Right.
If people want to, it's not a discredit to her, but if people want to credit Bayley, because obviously in scenarios like the WrestleMania match and the Hell in a Cell match, Sasha Banks's and Bayley's that have been around, done it, would obviously be the ones coaching her, so to speak, putting the match together.
Correct. And that's what they're there for.
That's what they're there for, to make her look great, to be credible opponents, and to make her shine to her strengths. That's exactly what she's doing every single time. Like, people are saying these kind of things to discredit her, like, oh, it's all Bayley, it's all Bayley. Okay, like, I can see too. I know Bayley's there, and I know Bayley's fantastic. But Bayley didn't wrestle herself.
Right.
Bayley wrestled someone which put on a brilliant performance as well.
Right.
So, I just think she's absolutely fantastic. At this stage, I'm praying to God they give her, and when I don't mean to just throw that out there, I have actually asked God for I've actually asked God for the well-being of all of these people and these entertainers, because they are brilliant people at the end of the day. And her feud, her championship run, is only going to be remembered by the great feuds that happen with it.
Correct.
You know, when we remember the Rocks and Austins, and even Trish and Lita, we can call back to feuds and stuff. the matches are meant to be the icing on the cake, but right now she's
Very
delivering
true.
the icing and there's no cake. There's no cake at all, bro. Like, there's hella icing, but just no cake.
I don't like them cakes, too sweet. Bro.
Too sweet, bro. No balance. So we really need them to just put together a solid story. We assume Sasha Banks may be the SummerSlam match. Or maybe even a Money in the Bank match, and then they throw it back again at SummerSlam. Maybe Bayley gets involved with a triple threat somewhere. Who knows? But we need something now to remember this championship run by, because the big matches she's delivering, but in the in-between time, it's dire. It's really dire.
It's crazy. The only thing that we see and have seen, obviously, since beating Sasha, it's just been Bayley. It's just been Bayley the whole time, and obviously she defended against Bayley before, and then again now at Hell in a Cell. So she's got that where she's beaten Bayley twice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And people are still doubting. Anyway, I've seen boring Belair. Anyway. Don't get me started.
That's mad. Boring Belair,
mate. Let's not. But the thing is, the in between is just a mess, because the only thing she's doing is talking. Literally, the only thing she's doing is talking, and that's not to say that she can't talk. She's not, she's not a CM Punk. She's not a Rock. She's not a,
I think she's good.
Or whatever.
Right on the mic.
She's good enough.
Yeah.
To say she's not good. Not saying that at all. But at the same time, there's a lack of character.
100. Yeah.
There's, or a lack of character building. If anything at all, there's a lack of character building. We're seeing no substance to what she's doing. We've seen this whole weird thing where we almost turned Bayley into Alexa Bliss, where she's just laughing on, and all the screen is turned to her laughing. I'm just like, nah, this isn't it. This is not it. And of course, we've seen in between Sasha and before their match at WrestleMania as well, we were questioning the story and how they were building that, and just how lackluster it was. So we are going to get people disliking Bianca, and not necessarily the people that are booking her, because that's what it should be. Because we've already seen that Bianca can do the in between on NXT. Even when she first came to Raw and had the thing with Zelina Vega, when she first came to Raw from NXT, it's not like we don't know she has character. But as you said it weeks ago, because she's now on the main roster, because she now has to, she's been toned down. She's being toned down. It's as simple as that. We're not getting the brash black woman, proud black woman. Yes, we know that she's proud. We've seen the documentaries, I guess, to remind us of those things, which is great. But we're just getting this still not quite confident, still not quite sure whether she should be a champion or not. She's not a confident champion. And that's a problem.
Bro, let me take some comments and we'll come back to Belair. SCW Steve in the chat, thanks for joining. He says, what's happening, guys? Hope you're both well. Thanks for joining, Steve. Subscribe to Steve's channel, great channel over there, great content. He says it's great to see Lashley as champion still. Finally a fresh feud now with Kofi going forward. Don't expect Kofi to win, but hopefully this feud puts him back in a higher position on the card. That's what it's all about. So the Titantron, he goes, what's up, gentlemen? Thanks for joining us, bro. And good. Jonathan Rodney says, wow, I think that was in relation to Boring Belair, which is crazy. I've never heard anyone say that, so that's madness.
Absolute madness. But at the same time, there's a little bit for me that understands why, not necessarily for matches. If it's for matches, go home, go away, don't type again. But on the in-between, I can completely understand why some will be saying Boring Belair, because nothing's been happening. We've had nothing. We've had nothing to work with.
The maddest thing is, going into this Hell in a Cell match, I was saying to myself, low key, I don't mind if Bayley wins here.
I
said, I don't mind if Bayley wins. By the end of that match and that performance, I was like, okay, we need to give Bianca another chance.
Right.
And when I say Bianca, it's obviously not her, it's the writing team and everything behind her. Like we said, the character development is not there, which is crazy to me, because once the bell rings and it's time to go, her performance in the ring is very confident. It's very borderline arrogant, because she knows she's the quickest, strongest, this, that, and the other.
Right.
So why does that is her character.
That does not resonate when there's no match.
It doesn't resonate when there's no match. When there's no match, her character is, I'm on the main roster, guys, and I got this championship belt. I'm happy to be here. Let me swing my hair. That is her character. Whereas when she's in the ring, she's low-key a beast. Like, low-key, she's doing her thing. So that confidence just needs to come out and stop trying to just be like, oh, it's my first day of school kind of thing. Like,
right.
You be as good as your performances say you are. Like, bring that character across in everything you do outside of your matches. I'm just reading Yao Nabi said here in the comments, so thanks for joining. She said, I honestly feel like Bianca will shine as a heel more than a baby face, which I agree with. Her demeanor and facial expressions were on point in NXT. She was more aggressive and had a "you can't F with me" attitude.
Well, there you go. That says it all. To be honest, that says it all. I mean, it's weird. Maybe I'm kind of psychoanalyzing this just a little bit too much, but it's kind of like, as we've seen with the documentaries that they put out, about Bianca and stuff like that over the last few months, and we know her story, and she used to be, run track and field. She had issues with, I think it was eating disorder and all that kind of stuff, and that was mainly based around her confidence. And it was quite obvious that she was confident when she was running. She was confident when she was doing a CrossFit, all that kind of stuff, and would dress a certain way, blah, blah, blah. But the in-between, she wasn't. So it kind of feels like that's what's playing out right now. I mean, I don't think that's anyone's kind of, that's the purpose of what's happening. But it kind of, it's weird to see that that's kind of playing out again, where during her being, I guess, stripped down, just her on the mic, there's a lack of confidence. But then when the bell rings, when she's got the gear on, when the crowd's going, or at least the crowd noises are going, when the referee's there, when she's got an opponent in front of her, the confidence comes out, the aggression, the arrogance, the whatever it is comes out, and she's ready to go. So maybe it could be her. But at the same time, we're still lacking in a story. We're still lacking in any writing, any substance to any stories. And, we can't just have 1 week Bayley talks, the next week Bianca talks and Bayley comes on the screen. And then the week before they have a bit of a tussle and then we get the pay-per-view. That's happened twice. Yeah. That's literally happened twice, 2 months in a row. Like, what's going on?
I mean, I personally don't think it's her. I do think it's just there's a lack of substance in the story that's being told. Now, in NXT, as Yao Nabi mentioned, we all know her character in NXT, and that seemed to come very naturally to her. And we know how NXT works. She was probably perfecting that long before it even got on TV, that character. Now she's gone up to main roster. She's been asked to switch. You're a face now all of a sudden. Fair enough, and I think she can thrive as a face. WWE don't have a good track record of making great baby face champions, in my opinion.
Very true.
But there's just a lack of substance. So she's going out there maybe looking unconfident because she doesn't believe in what the script that she has to say.
Very, very true, bro.
It's like you said, 2 months in a row, there might be something playing in her mind, thinking, I said that last month. So it's like, I don't necessarily even put the blame on her. Like I said, maybe I'm missing something. I don't think the performances outside of the matches are poor. I think she's delivering everything that she's being told to say very well. I just think it's boring stuff. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Major problem. Moving ourselves back to what happened and everything that happened last night on Raw. We saw, qualifying matches for Money in the Bank. And the results, especially for the men's matches, were basically upsets. on paper, upsets. We saw John Morrison beat Randy Orton. Wouldn't expect that one. And then the big one for us, Ricochet finally actually beat AJ Styles.
Yeah.
They've had many matches for many different things. And while Ricochet was United States champion, you know, he got the better of AJ Styles, I think, once or twice maybe. But since losing it, and you know, this last 12 months maybe, every time he's come against AJ Styles, it's a great match, but he fails miserably. And AJ Styles just pulls out some crazy mad finisher, and you know, and that's the end of it. But yesterday, we got a win for Ricochet, and he'll be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now, will he just be another body? As a great high flyer performer, it's a ladder match. You know, we need some high impact stuff going on. There's no Kofi Kingston in the match, as far as we know. Well, there's not going to be no Kofi Kingston in the match. We've got John Morrison, who can do all that Kofi Kingston madness as well, the high spots. Is Ricochet just going to be another high spot competitor, or does he have a chance?
Yeah, high spot competitor. I think
we're not even going to discuss that, folks. High spot competitor done. Bye.
I think that's what him and John Morrison are there for. I mean, it's great for Ricochet because he's been doing next to nothing for months. So to make it all the way to Money in the Bank, you know, on the pay-per-view where fans are going to be, it's brilliant for him. I actually laughed when he won this match because I did think he would win, to be completely honest, because obviously AJ Styles is embroiled in the tag team picture right now. So I thought Ricochet could probably win this, and he did, which I was happy to see him. But then the way I kind of judge Money in the Bank is a way I think it should be judged, not like when Otis won it. I look at the competitors and I'm like, could this man be the next WWE champion? Because that's ultimately what this is. It's a step towards the championship.
That's what it's for.
And for Ricochet, the answer's no for me.
No time soon. No time soon. Even as a surprise, it would still be far-fetched.
Yeah, completely. John Morrison probably has more claim to WWE Championship than Ricochet in the immediate future, and I still think John Morrison's, you know, nowhere near either.
Nah.
Matt Riddle is actually my pick. I think that I don't know who's going to be in it from SmackDown, obviously, but assuming for me that the winner is going to come from Raw, because obviously we're getting a reign of terror over there with Roman Reigns with that belt. I think it's Riddle. I think they've been very high on Riddle for months now, and you don't mind, you know, Vince, if Riddle has the briefcase, he can do some goofy stuff with it as well. Keep some stuff within the briefcase. So it's a very early prediction, but I unless it's going to be Drew or someone of that high caliber when we're going to get that second chance match next week, Riddle would be my pick. Ricochet is good to have him in there. You know, this is kind of what he was made for: high spots, ladder matches, all of that kind of stuff to wow crowds, because he is fantastic at that. But to become Money in the Bank winner, you know what I wouldn't mind? If he wins the Money in the Bank, if he was to win it, and they built him up to the point where we think, okay, he's looking good. He gets a load of wins behind him, and then challenges the champion and loses. Right, I wouldn't mind that. Because we would have obviously he's obtained something through that. But other than that, I mean, WWE, this is pretty throwaway. He was facing Carrillo a week or two ago for the US Championship. That seems to be dropped, and now he's in the WWE Championship picture somehow with the Money in the Bank. So
listen, not even 2 months ago, and let's be real, if not for Carrillo hurting himself last month, Ricochet probably would not be where he is right now, because in that same week, it was Ricochet versus Ali number 3
on main event. Yeah.
So, you know, it's not we're building this guy. It's more of okay, let's throw him in. We know what he's capable of. Let's throw him into the high spots. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. We know what he's capable of. They know what he's capable of. and that's a good thing in itself. I mean, he beat AJ Styles. He's put that on his, on his resume now, especially coming from where he was a month or two ago. That's a big thing. It shows something. Whether that lasts is another thing altogether.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I believe there's a possibility that he could possibly be in this little mid-card and United States Championship picture for a little bit. Again, whether it amounts to anything, no one knows for now. We know that, he's not got the biggest backing in the boardroom necessarily at the moment. So let's just see what he does. In terms of, predicting already without even knowing all the rest of the competitors in the match, in the Money in the Bank ladder match, I also believe that there's a strong possibility that it's going to be someone on Raw. But at the same time, even with you saying that Roman Reigns is on this reign of terror, and we mentioned, possible build-up to Lesnar, not Lesnar, sorry, but Reigns and Rock or Cena at WrestleMania, that Money in the Bank cash-in might be the only way Reigns loses that title.
I've said that as well. That is the only way he's going to lose that title. If someone sneak attacks him and cashes in.
Only way he's really going to lose that title anytime soon. So we'll see. It again depends massively on who else is going to be in this match, especially those from SmackDown. Apparently, there's a draft coming up soon as well. Whether that is that after SummerSlam, so that may change things. Who knows? But yeah, as always, I get excited for the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm always excited to see who the next person is, and for me, that's what I get excited about. It's been unfortunate when it's been the winners have been people who have already kind of been in the championship picture already and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we've seen others like the Miz, for example, who have kind of more or less come from nowhere or come from a slow build, won Money in the Bank, and then boom, they're champion. Daniel Bryan, I feel, did the same thing as well, made sense of it all. Dolph Ziggler was the greatest cash-in in history. I don't care what anyone says.
What?
The greatest cash-in in history,
Seth
bro. That was the greatest. No. Seth Rollins was amazing, but it was expected kind of thing. With Dolph, the way he did it, the crowd, bro, listen to that still now, and I get goosebumps like it happened at the time. Oh, that was the one for me. But no, Seth was completely crazy and amazing to do at WrestleMania, of course. But again, even with Seth Rollins, you kind of knew, not that he was going to do it then, but you knew he was going to become a champion. You knew that he was being built for that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So all of those ones that I mentioned, Miz, Daniel Bryan, Dolph, again, even Seth, we see the build-up of the next star. I'm just hoping that is what we get again this time. And not I don't know, Edge comes in the picture or something and does it, or Drew McIntyre wins, and I was like, ugh. You know what I mean? I don't want that. I want to see who the next star is, and especially now we've said as well that at the moment there is no one left to really challenge the current champions. It has to be something like that, surely.
Yeah. Yao Nabi says that I agree. Dolph's cash-in was just special. I get the same feeling every time I watch it. I'm still kind of holding out for maybe if we see a Biggie qualify, win it, and maybe going over to Raw to join up with the New Day as well with in the draft. That could be possible. Jonesy Chats Wrestling. He said, thanks for joining us, Jonesy. He said, do we reckon Xavier turns heel on Kofi at Money in the Bank? Now, you're pointing and smiling. Tell me, in your mind, how this can happen. What are you thinking?
So remember when we first saw the whole conversation with Kofi and MVP, and we kind of have this idea that MVP is trying to recruit Kofi, basically. And I said straight away, the real, the real thing that will blow our minds is Xavier Woods turning around and saying, I want in. For me, I just want to see that. I just want to see that because for me, that just sets up Xavier's singles run. More than anything else, it sets up Xavier's singles run and a push towards something. I don't see it being all the way to WWE Championship or or Universal if he goes over to SmackDown or whatever it is, but at least some kind of single championship, Intercontinental or United States Championship. And that for me is all I want to see. I don't care about Kofi becoming champion again. I don't see how Kofi Kingston being part of the Hurt Business helps Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
They're not going to put him over Bobby Lashley as the top guy. Yeah. So he's not going to go for that WWE Championship. Even if they did, I wouldn't believe it. I don't necessarily care for it. So for me, the only logical thing is for somehow, I don't know how exactly, but for somehow Xavier Woods is the one that turns heel or at least somehow goes it alone for him to then be, on a singles run and a major one as well at the same time. So there's a possibility. Again, at the moment, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know. I don't know, but that's just something I want to see. I just want to see that.
Yeah, man. GG in the place. Thanks for joining, GG. He said, I'm here for it as well.
Come
on. Wrestling Realm, they're in the house as well. What up? You actually talking about your video earlier on in regards to Big Match Bianca. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. So yeah, everyone check out that video from Wrestling Realm as well. And Jonesy says that you can then get Xavier versus Kofi at SummerSlam. That would be incredible.
That would be a strong match. That would be a strong match for sure. That would be a good match. Definitely. How they make it work remains to be seen. I have no idea how, but let's see what happens. The other thing that happened on Raw yesterday as well is Naomi has also qualified for the women's Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I'll ask the same question, but I think I know exactly what the answer is. But do we see her really being a winner of the Money in the Bank ladder match on the women's side?
I think for the women, there is more chance, let's say, for Naomi to win it than Ricochet.
Completely agree.
However, to be honest, I was very scared and I was already angry tweeting when I saw Asuka and Naomi versus Eva Marie and Doudrop. Because I thought, are they going to put Eva Marie and Doudrop over Asuka and Naomi? And I was already pulling out my hair. And then obviously Naomi pulled it out the bag by
of course
Marie. So that was cool to see. I think that with Becky Lynch returning imminently, that no one on Raw is gonna win it. No women from Raw, because I just think that title picture will consist of Becky Lynch going back after the title, Charlotte, Rhea Ripley, and then they'll throw Asuka in there every now and again when they need someone to beat, someone to pin. Yeah, so I can't really see anyone from Raw necessarily winning it, unless, again, like we've already mentioned, there is opportunity of if Naomi or someone was gonna win it and gets drafted to SmackDown, and she can go and join the family over there with the women's title, maybe. That's a possibility. But yeah, I see probably someone more from SmackDown winning this. Maybe someone like a Sasha Banks. Naomi is a very low pick for me. For sure. Let me just say before we carry on, I would not want to be a Scottish female in the WWE right now. Doudrop, super whatever is going on with, I don't get any of it. But what I do like, I'll say this very quickly actually, what I do like about what's happening with Piper Niven is the fact that she tried to say her name.
Yeah.
She tried to say her name. So there's a reference to the fact that she is someone. You know what I mean? And I think I saw someone either tweet or post in a comment on a post about, I think it was the Wrestling Classic actually, posted on a post. Just, I guess, saying to everyone that don't worry, it's a slow build to her eventually becoming, Piper Niven and, turning on Eva Marie eventually. So let's hope that's the case. But to be a Scottish female is probably not the one at the moment. But Nikki Cross is embracing it,
based on what she posted on her Instagram today, or last night, wherever it was, she was very much, talking about wanting to show this confident kind of person and, overcoming and stuff like that. So let's hope that wasn't written by the WWE writing team, and that is how she actually feels.
Apparently, it's her idea. She brought it to the table.
Yeah.
Tweeted as well that she's been working on this thing. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, WWE can still find a way to ruin it. But
they will.
Yeah, like she's done what she needed to do to transition her character and get on TV, and I have to respect it.
That in itself is major, especially in that environment. So good luck to her. I hope it becomes something. We've seen the Molly Holly character kind of go over. We even Hurricane.
That's Hurricane superhero right there.
Right, the OG superhero in all of WWE. Even for a time, Rosie
was classic.
Rosie was a guy as well. So let's not write it off as a nothing, but at the same time, it is light-hearted entertainment.
It's a mid-card gimmick.
Right. It's light-hearted entertainment, mid-card gimmick, and there's no reason why that can't go over for a while. But it's not going to be the thing that makes us say, "Oh, she should be the next so-and-so champion."
Yeah, of course.
Everyone has their place. That's cool. Moving on from that, though, going back to Naomi, I completely agree with you. There's a bigger chance of a Naomi winning Money in the Bank than there is Ricochet over on the men's side. And you know what? It's not actually that far-fetched. It may even be a way for her to gain back the credibility, or maybe that's what they'll do to, give her back her credibility, or at least put her back in that picture, the high-end picture of the women's division. So I'm certainly not writing her off. I've got slight hope that simply because there's a possibility of it. But I'm definitely not riding on it at all. I see possibly Asuka maybe winning it a second time, Sasha Banks coming back and doing it. I don't know about anyone else. I don't see it being someone that kind of comes out of nowhere, like Liv Morgan, Carmella. Like, there's been no build for them necessarily. So for me, if they won, it would be kind of out of nowhere.
They've got weeks to build it. So
true.
This is why they're kind of announcing everything now for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So that they've got a couple of weeks to build towards these guys all looking credible. Like
selling tickets, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And selling tickets. What's up, Nuben Cole? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, man. Moving slightly on and away a little bit from the WWE, let us get into going back to the show that we had last week. We had Ilfam from the Black Rasslin Podcast. They just put out their top 50, their BRP top 50 black wrestlers of the last, I believe it's 12 months. I think it was from May last year to May this year, I believe. And their top 10 was very interesting. A lot of it I don't disagree with at all. I'm going to run through them very quickly and we'll discuss and we'll talk about it. So number 10 was Apollo Crews. Of course, Apollo Crews was, is the current Intercontinental Champion and has been the United States Champion as well for 97 days. Major in itself. Kofi Kingston came in at number 9, a few tag team championship wins, 2 Raw, 2 SmackDown championship wins. That's there. Rich Swann at number 8.
Yeah, makes sense.
Possibly could have pushed him higher, but at the same time, his run wasn't the most convincing as the Impact World Champion.
Yeah, I don't think it was the most exciting of runs at all. But, holding a world championship is nothing to sneeze at. So
and at the same time, he won a few significant matches. So very similar to, I guess, even Bianca Belair's run right now. The in between wasn't great.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the matches were significant and the matches were good and the matches meant something. He won the TNA championship that Moose was kind of holding, walking around with. For a year, and unified those championships. He beat Chris Bay in the first ever match between two black men for a championship. As well, so significant. And he faced Kenny Omega as well. So there's that. As much as he lost, it was still a significant match. Number 7 was MVP. No real in-ring action, but it doesn't matter.
Hmm.
This guy could have, if this guy was number one, I don't think I'd even argue. I don't think I'd even argue. We could have put someone else on the but I don't think I'd even argue because the level of stuff that he's had to do in order to make the things happen around him, bringing up the guys in the Hurt Business, even with Ricochet and Apollo Crews kind of getting involved in what they were all doing. MVP was in the middle of all of that. It was because of MVP that all of that type of stuff was happening. Number 6 is Montez Ford. What's interesting is I can't remember where he was, but Angelo Dawkins was quite far behind. But Montez Ford, I guess, was maybe for performances, what he, the way he brings himself over, all that kind of stuff. We say this all the time, and I don't want to say it all the time because Angelo Dawkins is still great, but at the same time, everyone says Montez Ford is the one that's going to be the star out of the two of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think Montez Ford was I think Angela Dawkins was top 20. Now that
I believe so.
I'm just trying to see if I can check quickly.
Yeah.
But like they haven't really done much since they dropped their. Yeah, he was number 14.
14. I just found it as well. Yeah, 14.
They haven't really done much since they dropped their tag team titles.
That's very true and very unfortunate.
Yeah, but the bag of talent, both men.
Of course. Number 5, I know Black Rasslin are massive fans of this guy, me as well. Number 5 was Chris Bay.
Yeah.
That's a nice, for me, it's a bit of a surprise him being so high, but at the same time, it's still deserved. It's still deserved. He had that whole like weekend of Chris Bay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where he was a New Japan Impact, that massive Impact Championship match. And he'd done something else as well that weekend. I can't remember what it was. But, no one's done that. No one's had that. That in itself is major. That's massive. He's had the great run on Impact. He's always been up the top, up there. And he's been X Division champion within, I think it was 4 months after he signed.
Impact contract. Yeah.
So that in itself is massive. So Chris Bay is at number 5. Big E at number 4. No surprise there. No surprise there at all. Intercontinental Championship win finally. And he's pushed. We've seen the push that wasn't quite a push, more of a nudge. So but to do it, the way that he did on the day that he did, I believe it was Christmas Day, he aired. That in itself, is a big thing. So finally getting that Big E singles run, that still hasn't amounted to anything. But anyway, moving on to number 3. Number 3, Bianca Belair. The top three cannot be argued. These top 3 cannot be argued in the slightest. Number 3 is Bianca Belair. We know exactly what she did. Massive match at WrestleMania. She's now the SmackDown Women's Champion and won the Royal Rumble, of course, as well. So number 3, of course, Bianca Belair. Number 2.
I'm just trying to remember before you move on.
Yeah.
Bianca Belair, did she win the Royal Rumble from number 3?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
I know she came in hella early. I think
Yeah. Something like that.
I think it was the year before she came in either first or second, but
definitely wasn't first or second. Naomi was the one the first.
Yeah. The year before, I'm saying the year before Bianca came in first or second. But I think this last year when she won it, or this year when she won it, I think she came in third.
I believe so. So to last that long, I think it was almost an hour.
Yeah.
I believe it was almost an hour, 40-something minutes or 50-something minutes. And of course, the great scenes of her dad almost flying over the barricade. Shout out to Bianca's dad, especially with Father's Day just gone as well.
Yes.
So shout out Bianca Belair's dad on that one. Number 2, of course, is the almighty Bobby Lashley, the current WWE champion, won the championship, went to WrestleMania as the WWE champion, left WrestleMania as the WWE champion. Whether black, white, Asian, Mexican, whatever, very few people do that.
Yeah.
So for him to do that, especially as an African American wrestler, is the magnitude of that cannot even be explained really in words. So number 2 was Bobby Lashley, and that only leaves that top spot, that very little space left at the top for the only person it could have possibly been at the top, and that is Sasha Banks. I'm sorry, it has been a long time since I've seen such a dominant and convincing at the same time, not because WWE just threw them in front of our face, but a dominant and very believable person to be just in our faces all the time, constantly at the top. Won literally every championship she could have possibly won in that whole year. Sasha Banks is easily the best competitor in all of wrestling over the last 12 months. I can't see anyone. You can argue, you can throw me some New Japan people or whatever you want. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry, they're not Sasha Banks. For me, I can't argue that at all, man.
Yeah, it can't be argued. When the Black Rasslin Podcast guys, and big up them, when they were posting this, I was looking through it furiously, like, where's Sasha Banks, please? Like, what's going on? And then I saw, she's not which one? Of course, come on.
Of course,
bro. I remember maybe just over a year ago now. On Twitter, I can't remember what the discussion was, but we'll talk about black wrestlers, and I put Sasha Banks in my black wrestlers Mount Rushmore, and I was laughed at. This is about maybe 18 months ago,
mate.
And people like Sasha Banks, like maybe they were even expecting me to just write all males. I said, for me, she is there, top 4 all time, 100%. And I just feel a sense of vindication. Over the last year, especially like
the argument, you can't,
brilliant.
You cannot. You'd be very foolish, very delusional to argue the fact that Sasha Banks has been, whether male, female, black, white, in between, whatever that is, the best competitor in wrestling over the last 12 months. It's not possible to argue.
Put it this way: if she was ever to leave WWE, and most of the criticism will come from fans that aren't WWE fans,
right?
Your Tony Khans and your Gatos over in New Japan would have contracts waiting for her before the likes of Dave Meltzer have even reported that she's a free agent. As soon as the word comes out that Sasha Banks is a free agent, your favorite company will be signing her. Let's just put it like that.
If anyone were to transcend, if anyone at this moment in time was to transcend wrestling right now and do what The Rock is doing now, do what even a Cena, even what Hogan did back in the day, it would be Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
No one else fits the bill right now. Others could do it. Others could have done it. But no one else, not even Roman Reigns fits that bill right now.
Yeah, Roman will get there, but
yeah. For me, Roman is very much cemented, very much how John Cena was. Roman is very much cemented in wrestling. So as much as he's got the star power, as much as you can push him, as much as he's done one film and stood next to his cousin in Fast and Furious or whatever it was, Roman is very much cemented in wrestling. Whereas Sasha Banks, we've already seen, of course, she was in the Mandalorian. Yeah. She was doing an album. I don't know what's happened with that. She's got all these connections. She's got this star power that is just undeniable. And she can do it all. Every match that she's had, every big match. We talk about big match Bianca. Sasha's the one.
Sasha's
the one. Sasha's the one. Even in her losing, we were talking about Sasha Banks just as much as we were talking about Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
So there's no denying any of that. There's no denying any of that at all. The one thing I want to say very quickly before we go, and in terms of this list, one person was missing from the list. And I saw a few questions asked already, and I was like, oh, Lord. The one person I was missing from the list was Moose.
No, really?
Moose was not in the list at all. Not in the top 50.
Noticed that.
Not in the top 50. Some people noticed. And when we were talking last week, it was alluded to that last year, there was someone that was upset about their position in the list.
Who was that?
That was Moose. So Moose, on one of the comments, he was quite low. I believe he was in the 40s, I believe, or possibly low 30s as well.
Last year.
Something like that. last year. And he literally commented on the post, what am I doing down, so low, blah, 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 blah. And then even said, do not take me off your list. So I've seen this year, where's Moose? And I just knew what the answer was going to be. Basically, the reason why you don't see Moose is simply because you're not going to see Moose. After what he said last year, BRP have basically...
They've cut ties.
Moose does not exist. Moose
Future endeavored him.
Basic future endeavored from the BRP 50. Basically.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the case. Just to answer the question and put it out there, and I'll probably put this clip on my page just to answer the question. But yeah, man, no Moose, unfortunately. And I understand it completely. I understand why. I feel as though, comments like that, should not be, and whether they're true, whether they're, understandable, comments like that just shouldn't be, just don't need to be made.
Yeah.
So I understand why they, BRP decided not to bother putting me on any list at all. But unfortunately, with the 12 months definitely the last 6 months that Moose has had, it's unfortunate that he's not in there. I would definitely put him at least in, top 15, possibly even top 10. But yeah, that answers that question. For those that were asking and were wondering, no Moose.
Boy.
But that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. But folks, this is what we do. As Ilfam said last week, they and also myself and many of us want this list. It's in their third year, still very early, still very new. BRP don't have the biggest following on the planet either, so it's still very new. But we want that to build. We want our black wrestlers to see that list as a coveted list. And he said, you mentioned this last week, how it's not 500, it's not 200, it's not even 100, because you want the significance of 50 to mean something. So, for me, it's meaning something. It's the reason why I'm talking about it now on this show, and why I will post about it every single year it comes. Also, check out, they've got a list called the After the 50 list, collaborating with Terry from Wheel of Wrestling. I did it last year, but it's a look at some of the people that didn't quite make it, who we think could be put up there in that list, in that top 50 next year, or in the years to come. Yeah, those honorable mentions, of course. But folks, time is up. This has been WrstlXtra. You are watching on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel and listening on affinityextra.com. Of course, you can follow Mex at WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram and WrestleManiac UK on Twitter, where he lives, and you won't see me, but you will see me on Instagram, Black Rasslin Alliance, of course. Folks, thank you everyone for joining us, for staying with us, and even if you popped in for 30 seconds, and SCW, the wrestling channel, for staying with us from start to finish. Well done, folks, and we will see you next week. Boom.
Peace out, guys.